I'm gonna do a little test to make sure it's music.
Remember, go on your face.
Yeah, you already know. It's Copper, young millionaires, the general. Yeah. Okay, I wake up every day, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling great. Every day I'm getting paid, man, this life is going great. I just wanna celebrate, I made it in and out of state. $1,000,000 in the case, I got it here, the summer safe. I multiply all my millions, and really I am extremely wealthy. I distributed my millions with my family. This is just the beginning, I purchased a Lamborghini. Driving around the city, believe me, you haven't seen me. Made it through all the struggle, defeated all of my rivals. I was never entitled, I had to fight for survival. Man, this life is amazing, it's crazy the way we made it. Now I'm living my dreams and I'm barely just getting started. I'm in I'm just standing alive. That's it. Every day I'm blessed. Gotta recognize the realest cause I'm just a stash. That's it. Every day I'm blessed. Gotta recognize the realest cause I'm on the dash. I made it through the struggle back when I was very worried. Now I'm chilling, get my condo, Lamborghinis and Bugatti. I know you in a hurry, but I promise don't be worried when you see me in a club or party. Got enough to party. I'm a multi-millionaire, getting money everywhere. I ain't tripping on nobody, I just came to celebrate. Yeah, we got the party popping, got the general over here, throwing money in the air, cause we get it every day. I multiply all my millions, now me and my people winning. Moving city to city, I promise that you will see me. Bugatti, I'm stacking money in the ceiling. Multiply all my millions, now me and my people winning. Moving city to city, I promise that you will see me. Driving a Lamborghini, but this is just the beginning. $1,000,000 Bugatti, I'm stacking money in the ceiling. I'm in I'm just standing.
What's up, guys? It's the General here with his crew, the Truth Podcast. We got Nikki G, we got the Big John, we got Carson, aka Little Winston. What's up, guys? What are you guys up to here, man?
No.
Hello.
Holy smokes, you guys asleep or what? We gotta get wild.
John had our mics off.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's try that one more time. What's the crew up to?
We're killing it, dude.
Killing it, dude.
Hey.
I'm all upside down because I brought a brand new laptop in, and that didn't go well. getting things spec set up the way they were before, so I apologize.
And I'm not gonna tell anybody I'm in technology.
Yeah, I know. You just sat there and watched me twist in the wind.
I watched him twisting in the wind. I was about to step in, but I thought, you know what, John's got this.
Yeah, I'll get it.
He was sweating a bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it just didn't make sense, and then I had my AirPod in my ear, and that's why I was getting feedback. So I was about to lose my shit.
We're here now.
Yeah, We're here now.
Yeah.
What do we got today?
We got some good shit going on. I got some good stuff that I laid out here, guys. So one of the things on top of the header we're talking about is setting clear expectations for yourself and others. We've kind of briefly touched all this stuff in the past, but we want to get really clear on that, right? So let's just talk a little bit about that. You know what I mean? Setting clear expectations for yourself and others. Do you guys kind of get my flow on that?
Go a little deeper.
So I'm gonna go real deep. So let's get an example, right? I think
no pun intended.
I think real deep, baby. What's that? Heavy. No, you know what? I think one of the things is sometimes I think in our personal lives, in business, or even with acquaintances that you're dealing with, I think sometimes you're saying something and they're totally misconstruing something else. And it's even like based on your personality, right? And I'm going to give you an example. One of the things I think one of my downfalls is, say you're like a shithead, right? Or you're causing trouble or whatever. Well, I don't mimic you back, right? So let's give an example. Like, say when I was a kid and everyone's having a bad day, well, I woke up every day acting like it was a good day and choosing not to actually decide to see what environment I was in. And so I'm like, you know what, in denial. I call it walking in denial, or that's really the kind of mental state that I'm in, right? So when you're in a mentally high vibration and you get there, the world might be, oh, this life sucks, kind of like what you see with coronavirus, but I haven't changed a step in my deal. But it actually, by that, what it actually does, it actually puts you at a mishap, right? Because the other person might read it as, well, this whole time you were happy. You weren't showing signs of like, this sucks or whatever. You know what I mean? Clear with that. Same thing other with business, right? You're trying to get through a job and they're showing all these frustrations and you're not mirroring those frustrations. So they feel like, well, he must not be frustrated. But you know, like, you know, my philosophy is I don't start worrying until I see the roof on fire, right? And even then I'm like, was it burning the trusses? And so I think that's what I mean about clear expectations. And then the clear expectation with ourselves, then we're down the road and it's so much time has passed and you weren't clear and it might be totally on your fault. People were expecting a certain thing of you. You're deciding not to answer those questions clear. Then all of a sudden a year, 2 year passes through and now you're in a bad business deal or your relationship's going to shit because you just weren't clear on certain, what I call, and I don't want to even say deal breakers, but I think concrete milestones for yourself, right? For any of the two things kind of I'm talking about. You guys are in a situation like that?
Yeah, actually I have, you know, especially when it comes to business where maybe someone has an expectation from a previous client that I've done and the contract didn't really match. And running into the problem of them expecting stuff where I never agreed upon it. And that's where I come in, where I should have been more clear on this is my agreement. And it's something I've really learned a lot lately. You know, I was shooting for a clothesline company and, you know, to get in, I kind of, you know, lowered the price a little bit, but about, you know, 4 seasons in, I'm like, this ain't right. You know, my expectations and, you know, how I leveled myself to be with them wasn't clear. And in the end, it was my fault for not being clear since the get-go. Yeah. So I ended up stepping away because I know my worth and I know my value. And it was just something that wasn't, you know, it wasn't clear on both ends. And man, that can bite your butt a little bit. I've lost some money on those situations. So I love that you bring it up because it really makes me think about stuff like, am I being clear now in general? Like, am I being clear with my next set of goals, my next set of clients? Like how can I reflect what I'm learning from you now and implement it in my business? Because I'm in the process of like new pricing, new this, new that, but am I being very clear on that? So I'm very glad you brought that up, you know? You know,
we got something at Harmonics. I wrote the creed, right? And we have something we lead with loyalty, attitude, attendance, and performance. And that's how I grade your bonuses. And so yesterday I pulled in, you know, we brought Saul back. Saul's back in the game. Shout out to Saul, right? Been with us, you know, on a long run, but he's back in the game. And, you know, when we were reintroducing all the employees and talking about it, I said, look, I'm going to tell you right now, you show up at 8:31 and it's not 8:30, it's considered late and it affects 40% of your potential bonus, period, no matter what the hell you did, right? The next big factor is performance, but I have that military approach and it rarely comes off. And I said, I don't want anybody going here. So I kicked ass, but I was showing late all the time. That doesn't matter to me. You just failed. I go off lap, right? So loyalty, attitude, right? Attendance and performance. And so you got to be clear with that because then everyone's freaking mad. And I think one of the things we do is we're busy or we want to focus on something and we're not clear with vendors. We're not clear with that. And I said, what I see with you, Nikki, is I tell people, I'm always clear with the money, right? Everyone always laughs and says, you're really clear with the money. And so you gotta, if whatever means a lot to you that you're clear in, you gotta take that same style and apply it to every single thing in your life. And so I think where people are business owners or starting off like you that are doing is you gotta have that menu like McDonald's, right? You don't go to McDonald's and you're never confused, right? A number one's a number one, a number two's a number two, number three, number four, right? When you buy a Big Mac, you know what you're getting, right? 3 breads, 2 freaking meats with the freaking super sauce. So I think that ultimately we have to be very clear. And if we can get to our lives where it's like McDonald's, Holy shit, Philly brought the heavy stuff out here. Hey, shout out to Phil from the grill. I can't concentrate now because there's so much food in front of me.
Here on San Mateo, 3300 San Mateo.
Absolutely. Best burgers in town, brother. But anyways, what I'm saying is that you have to, have that clear menu. And in anything you do, even with your customers, because they'll come back and bite you in the ass. Sometimes you may do something and all of a sudden they think, well, it's an expectation. And I don't allow that.
Yeah.
Right. And so now I've been in the game so long, but I did make those mistakes. When you're in there, you're trying to win, but long term, it doesn't pay out. Same thing, right? You that girls out there, guys, and like, I want to be with this chick, and all of a sudden you're doing things that actually wasn't natural for you, and then you can't keep up with it. It's not your natural state, and all of a sudden you're pissed off. But they're like, "What are you talking about? I've been this whole way at the same time, so you've been putting up with my bullshit." And for them, it's no different. And then you're walking around like, what the hell did I do? So I think those concessions are so important. And you know what I mean? Being straight, clear as shit. And I'm going to tell you right now, 40 years in the game, I'm still fucking getting that straight, right? But I'm going to tell you, if I can, they always say, if you could go back and tell your 20-year young self, what would you do? I was going to have to say with your no be a fucking no, and clear as fucking crystal with everything you're going to do and what the expectation is, right? And now I'm really good, even with friends. Like if they come to me and say, hey, this is what I expect or this, and I'm like, I can't do that. It's better if you go to Amazon and fucking order that cable because I can't, because it's going to take so much time. And by the time I take all that time and then you're pissed off at the price, might as well tell you up front, you know what? I already kind of know the kind of person you are, so I can't get that fucking cable for you. But here's the options you can, because you're a $80 a cable guy, you're not going to pay $300. You see what I'm trying to tell you? Absolutely. And so you have to understand that about people, and you'll be good. And I had a big meeting with one of the largest MSP people out there, and it's managed service provider. And he talked about what the biggest fault of MSPs is undercharging, and what they're doing is they're spending all this time on customers that ain't bringing the revenue, when they could be focused on customers that are doing the revenue, right? Because what you realize is the small fry is as much or more pain in the ass than the big burger, right? I can tell you in real estate, Carson's probably putting more attention with the guy buying the $130,000 house than the guy spending the $600,000 house or $1 million.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's 100% true.
So you think about that, and I've seen that myself, is the smaller clients I have actually want more time and effort and like that touch than the bigger ones just care about the performance, right? And so I think you'll start to learn that. And I think even with friends, you got to know, you got to set that boundary and knowing your personality, right? No, I'm not really the fucking potluck guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? If you invite me to the quinceañera, I'm probably not showing up. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not that guy. But if your kid really needs me on this time, I'm going to be there when he needs to buy the jersey.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So if you set that clear, concise who you are, you're going to eliminate so much bullshit out of your life. Because what it's going to eliminate is those long fucking conversations about what A, B, C, or D, right?
Yeah. That's funny. I used to have a lot of people that invite me to parties and baby showers and, all this like anniversary stuff. But you know what they wanted, right? They were expecting me to take my camera and take pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So I just started showing up with no camera. Like I'm here to hang out.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
I saw the invites go down. And it's kind of funny when you think of that because I wasn't clear. When I first started, of course, I was going to show up and show love. I was just trying to show everybody my capability. But at the end of the day, when I'm sitting here, when there's my buddies making $300 or showing up to that same type of event, and I'm sitting there just handing out my time, that's something like I won't do anymore. My 30s, I'm very, very particular of my time. I went out the other day, and I'm a rare occasion. Like, you rarely see me out. You guys see me more than my actual friends and family. But I had to really pay attention of like, wow, I wasted my time on someone that didn't value my time back. And that was like my growth period of saying, hey, that ain't cool. Like I won't let anybody do that to me no more. Yeah. But I realized I wasn't very clear on my intention and I wasn't very clear on my time. And, it's really cool that was a really good topic for me because it really hits, especially on other levels, like across the board,
Yeah, no, it's you'll be surprised, right? And then when someone walks away, one thing I like, when you deal with, like, who's there, pulled a loan. When you're dealing with business bankers, they're clear as shit. You got to get in there. I mean, that shit's amazing, man. So I'm telling you right now, bankers are clear. How much do you make? What's in your W-2 you got? What's in your K-1? What's this? How much money? And then they'll say this is what you can get for the mortgage.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, you want to be as clear as a fucking banker in life. There's no hard feelings. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the fluff. They're looking at straight numbers, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that being clear as a banker across your whole life, I think is going to save you a lot of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
In the expectation.
Yeah. A lot of conversations ends when I send my price list.
That's
All of a
how it is
sudden,
with
like,
everything, yeah.
but like I don't really mind because it's just like, I'm not gonna put my time to someone that doesn't see my value. Like,
Yeah, of course.
What's the point of that? So
Of course.
a lot of conversations, and I'll entertain it as far as like, because I want to know right away, like, what's your intention, what's your vision, and what are we doing? And then when I see it, then I can know what price category, because what time it's going to take me. So the second I send some of those price lists, it's like I get ghosted, but I don't mind because someone's going to pay me what I'm worth.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with like you and your houses, it's the right sales. You don't want to sit there and do circles over someone that's barely going to make the bank cut to get that.
I think what's beautiful about real estate, it's so clean and cut.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell these guys, I was talking to Joe with this, and I was like, you know what? I think what I love about listening to these guys in real estate, it's pretty fucking simple, right? You're listing and you're buying. And the thing about it is you're getting A, B, and C, and you're getting qualified. So the person already knows what they're going to buy. That's why the Zillows of the world are just destroying it. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I think one of the advice that I want to give you, Nikki, is that you have to learn how to establish budget. That is what small business does not know how to do. And that's having that establishing budget. So what you do is you say, look, because I don't think it's smart to walk away from the business, because I'm telling you this is that, first I'm going to go to a story, right? So my grandfather, had a lot of alfalfa fields up north, just a smart guy. And one of my uncles, a guy comes in from Texas, and he needed a certain type of hay that my grandfather had for his horse, because I guess he was allergic. And so let's just say, for the sake of argument, because I can't remember exactly, that the hay bill was $3. And the guy comes in and tells my uncle, I only need half of this bale because of what it wasn't to carry. He says, no, full bale or nothing. My grandfather comes from the back and says, oh no. Oh, you're a cowboy just like me. And they start talking about them being marshals. And so my grandfather cut the hay bale in half and said, it was on myself for you. Months later, the same guy comes in and says, hey, John, you know what? You did such a great job. I really appreciate the act of kindness and, accommodating to what I needed. We have one of the largest ranches in Texas. How much bales could you produce for us? So he bought the entire amount of hay bales they could produce every year for the next 15 years. So you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So you don't ever want to walk in when you leave something on the table, because one of the things you have to understand is it's not just about the monetary basis. You got to say, how much social capital can I win? So learn to read who's on the other side, and then also learn, well, do I have something that I can actually go to the budget? So establishing budget is one of the biggest things that small businesses don't figure out. And McDonald's has that, right? They got the fucking dollar menu and they got the $5 burger, so to say. So that's what's made them so good. But until you become a name and you're doing something major, then you set that price and then you can take that attitude. So don't take that attitude till you're not a proven entity. And one of the things you never want to be in life, and this is what I've seen my competition just get slaughtered by me, and even some of the bigger guys, is never want to become a legend in your own mind, where you feel like, well, I can only do this, and you're just fucking dying after that. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So unless you're just fucking piled with the stacks of bread, then you can make that decision. Yeah. And so I always approach everything like a hungry wolf, and I'm like, I could do that, but I can't do that. And people actually are like, walk away and like, oh, I appreciate that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And so you want to have those options. And so I think once you establish that, then you can do it. So at the end of the day, what I want to leave with listeners and you and everybody here is better their dollar in my pocket than in someone else's pocket. I want you to take that approach differently.
I like that.
I think it's a good analogy. I mean, having the dollar menu, and then also, so like in your business, you can say, well, this is what the full package is.
Yeah.
Now I can give you something less, but then, you're not going to get all these, you're not going to get whatever you would get with the photo, but I can come down to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was good.
It's the perfect timing for this conversation because I'm actually writing like some business structures and some changes. So that was pretty heavy. That was good on my part,
No, that was good. That was very enlightening. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your take, Wisdom?
Taking it in.
We want your input. Do we want
I just like the expectation part. With business or life and friendships and everything, that one kind of hit the nail on the head for me. It's going into something knowing exactly what that other person is going to expect, because I've seen so much times in business and friendships and relationships where, people will totally avoid that whole discussion and someone expects something out of you and you're not going to deliver it. And I've seen it where people won't communicate and it's an elephant in the room that people aren't calling out. And then that kills relationships. It kills the business relationship. It kind of just kills the whole work environment and everything. And I've seen, businesses kind of fall apart and rebuild and fall apart and rebuild. And I've seen people go through relationships the same way, or friendships where, they don't tell them the type of person that they are because maybe they don't really know who they are either. And that's what comes with the most importance, in my opinion, in life, is knowing yourself. Once you know yourself, then you can start building things and what you believe in, because you know what your passion is, you know who you are, you know where you're bought in.
And I think with that, touching on your, I'm going to add a couple of things for you, is I think you got to just learn that sometimes you just got to hurt people's fucking feelings. But it's better to hurt their feelings up front than cause them a whole lot of fucking hurt on the back end.
Yeah, or then what happens is you're so far invested and then you catch yourself doing things that you truly aren't happy doing. And then, you're so attached to the business or the partner you're with or whatever the case may be that it's that much harder to rip the Band-Aid off than doing it right up front. You know what I mean? But alternative is a lot of people are so desperate to get in and work for you or be with you or be your friend that you set the expectation, they agree to it, and then they feel so comfortable after years go by and then they start changing things.
We don't, but the thing is, we know what we're not doing. We're not gut checking.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm gonna tell you something. Like, you look at, I like to use Mayweather all the time. You look at his camps and how people go in and they fall out. Well, what's beautiful about athletics is that he's fucking pounding you 4 days a week, so if you can keep it with the strength and conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a trainer, I can't remember his name right now, out of Las Cruces. He was totally known for that, and so people would always quit. And so I think one of the things that we don't do is we're not going through that fucking list and checking. I hate to say this, right? But I think everything has to be a spreadsheet. I'm really damn sure about a spreadsheet, because I'll give you an example, right? We might say we're all roommates, right? We're all roommates here together.
Mm-hmm.
My level or expectation of how I think the kitchen should be clean is going to be a lot different from you. It's going to be a lot different from John. It's going to be a lot different from Nikki, right? So we're all sitting there and we don't have a written verbalization. I think is one of the fucking most wasted times it possibly is, because cognitively we don't know how you're really taking it, because it's based on, and I'm going to use the fucking word education, but it has nothing to do with being your bachelor.
It's like reading a text or an email.
PhD, right? It's based on how the fuck you feel that day,
Mm-hmm.
how are you reading it, and do you understand the fucking English language,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it could be totally fucked up, but I'll tell you one thing that everyone understands is mathematics. When you put a 1 + 1 in front of everybody, everyone knows it's 2.
Mm-hmm.
Universal language, right? So when I talk about a spreadsheet, you go in and you say, okay, there's one sink, there's one countertop, there's a stove, 4 burners, this is how I expect to clean the kitchen. Complete wipe down. You're adding 1 sink of water with 3 pumps of Mr. Clean, hot fucking water at this degree. You see how the mathematical is going behind it? And then at that point, you're like, well, fuck, I know what the expectation is. And you wipe it 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
right? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if you put that work up front, then I think the rest is just simplified.
Yeah.
And if I just did a big engineering job for the museum, and customer is like, holy fuck. But there's so many hours of pre-engineering in there, of walkthroughs and pre-notes and what could happen, where the fuck it could be. And so we all know no one's clear, but it's a spreadsheet dropped in front of someone's face.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the crazy thing too, is I believe that 100%. And nowadays, you kind of have to lay things out for people, say, for example, for employees, right? You have to lay things out for them, because if not, there's so much stuff that's going to slip through the cracks. Because you could say, oh yeah, my expectation is this, meet these numbers. And then it's like, okay, but are you doing the little things on top of doing all of that? You know what I mean? And the only way to really build that culture and build that environment is say, okay, here's what you have to do. Here's your task list done. You either did it or you didn't.
Yeah.
And there's no, oh, well, this happened and it started raining and this, it's like, okay, well, you agreed to these terms. You did it or you didn't. Doesn't matter anything else. You agreed to it. Here's where it's at. Done deal. And what that's going to do is help you so much to weed people out, coach people in, makes your overall time in business way more efficient.
I mean, that even goes with the relationships and affiliations and friends, you know?
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel like
100%.
I remember sitting in this relationship for years saying, why was I so afraid to just say, this isn't for me, you're not for me? And I wasted a year of my life. I did learn a lot, you know? I feel like sometimes I think the other person learned from me. There was a lot of lessons, and so
I'm gonna stop you right there, okay?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna fucking stop you right there. That's mental gymnastics.
It is.
They wasted their time and you wasted your time. And I'm gonna tell you right the fuck right now. That's like me coming here and saying, you know what? Yeah, you know I have a few million. You know when I was putting in that 100,000 in the machine that was fucking taking me to the bank, the machine was learning that I'm an easy fuck, and I'm learning that you know I can lose my money fast. That's the stupidest fucking no way. So I'm gonna go back with that, and I'm gonna say no. Well, we should have stepped back and said, you know what? This is not mission critical. We're not gonna crash the fucking jet, but we need to detour. That's the issue.
Yeah.
And so I think that what we want to keep about today is that's about being clear. And the moment we start making, those are called concessions. And the moment we start making concessions with ourselves or concessions for others is when it's all going to fuck. At that point, you're just game over. And so I think that you pull back and you say, you know what? I was just fucking scared. And I don't know why. There could be a lot of fucking issues. I could have mama issues, daddy issues, fucking confidence issues. So you look at that and say, what am I going to do next? Right? And so I'm a kind of individual, and I'm talking from experience here, right? So, you know, it's crazy. Like when I talk to Winston a lot, you know, believe it or not, it's crazy. I always get this value, or even when I talk to Joe, and I'm back and forth because I always come from like a mentor position for both of them, right? Because, you know, when I was up at the Atlas gym and all these guys looked up to me, I've always been kind of in the mentor position, right? But when I'm teaching them, listening to these guys, and they'll use keywords for me, and I'll be like, well, fuck, I don't feel like that. So what's the situation? And so I think when you're able to analyze at that level, you pull back and you say, you know what? No, this is fucking bullshit the whole way. Because the thing is about me, the reason I have such a high tolerance is because I base everything off of money. Trust me, you're fucking costing me money and it's a major problem, you're going to fucking hear about it. He knows. I see a fucking disaster and it's going to cost me money. I'm like, whoa, I'm on your ass. If it's not costing you money, you won't hear from me. But what I need to treat all my life like that. Because you can never gain that time. What dollar value do you put on it? And so I think because I did come from very modest means and it was a scarcity for me that I'm like, pump the fucking brakes. No, you're losing money. You're going to do something bad. And I think that that's what I'm talking about. So I just want to step on that, Nikki. I couldn't let you go.
I love it.
I couldn't let you sidewind
I love
on
it. You know, because like now I see it in your perspective, but when I was going through it, you know, it was a lot of lack of growth. There was a lot of stuff. But let me tell you now, I am very keen on what I want, what I deserve, who I want to affiliate. Right. I'm very clear on, you know, like I'm recently, you know, single. I have not felt so free in my damn life, you know, because there's nobody owns me, not a company. Like I have no chains to anything. But what the beautiful part about this is even, you know, nothing about that is like I have the full reins to everything that I desire. Like what tone am I going to set for the next, you know, year of my life? Who am I affiliating with? You know, I get calls for so many people to hang out. I'm being very selective of my time. I'm being very, very selective. Every morning, whether I wanted to get up or not, I've been waking up 4 to 5 o'clock in the morning. And no matter how tired I am, I just getting up and I'm doing something to make myself better or, you know, work on a project or anything. And, you know, you talked to me a year ago, I was like in la la land, you know, like, ooh, love, like blah, blah, blah. And like now it's just like, I need like a 1,000-page essay. I need something to show, are you going to waste my time? Like there's an application process now, even for like friendship, because there's a lot of
We got the sweet
I got to backtrack though.
She's got that ambiance music.
I'm like thinking soft.
we got the sweet love music going on, John.
I'm all talking romantic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just cool to be. I don't know what that was, but it's really nice to be more in control of like, my time.
Yeah,
Like it's
sure.
gonna take a lot, to get me on that level. Like you said it earlier, like really like asking myself, like going within, like knowing myself completely. Like, is this what I desire? Is this what I want? Where do I see myself? I've been on one. Why? It's because I've been focused on me. Right. I have not really spread my time to other people. I've been honing in. I've been working on my skill. Even when I'm like working out, I'm just like so chiseled, and I repeat things in my head constantly. I don't listen to music when I work out. Like I listen to like speech compilations or, talks or anything that's going to feed my mind, because I truly believe that, and this, this could be right or wrong. This is for me, is music has a muscle memory. And I'll hear people go out the gym, listen to like sad songs, like working out, but your mind replays that moment in your life to that sound. And so like I've been jamming to music that I've never listened to, because I want to break my paradigms.
Yeah.
I want to break my reaction pattern. So what I would normally respond to something, I'm breaking my response. Like someone did something to me the other day, and the old me was like hurt puppy, and I can't believe they wasted my time. My new me is like, oh, that stove is hot. I'm not gonna touch it again. And there was a learning curve, to that, but it's beautiful to notice it.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. That's why, like, when you bring up the situation you went through, I'm kind of, I've always lived my life, like, even when, I've done stuff where it's like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have done that. I embrace it more so, because at that time, I know that was the decision that I wanted to make. Therefore, I was doing what I wanted at the time. Yeah. But the important thing is because perfection doesn't exist. It doesn't. If it did, then what is perfection, right? We don't know. And we pressure ourselves so much on trying to live these perfect lives and doing all this stuff. But the important thing is being able to call out and notice and say, okay, if it wasn't for this situation, now I know I don't want that. So that piece, if that wouldn't have happened, who knows where your life would be right now? You know what I mean? So that's why in situations like when I would reflect on my life and be like, okay, well, last year, I did this thing and it was a complete waste of time. But in my head, I'm like, okay, it really wasn't a waste of time, because if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have the mindset that I have right now had that never have happened. Or when would have happened, because it's, I believe, destiny, right? Certain things are meant to happen to coach you to be the person that you're meant to be at the end of the day. So if that didn't happen then, how much further down in life and then of an impact would it have made, let's say when I was 30 or something like that, right? Instead of trying to find myself and grow and grow and grow and grow. So I kind of look at things like that different, and it's more of a reflect and understand who you are and how you want to change that going forward. And that's the biggest thing. I think that's great that you're doing that, because you're able to call it out now. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, hell no. Whoa, that's a red zone. Yeah. So
I kind of want to touch a little bit on what Carson talked about. And so there's an old passage that says, wise is a man who learns from someone else's mistakes. So I'm going to kind of contradict a little bit. And so I think that some of those times we're going through shit, we know it. We cognitively have made the decision, and we know what the end result is, but we're just fucking dumb. And I think our internal psyche is saying, you know what? Well, I want to test it so I could be a better person in the future. No, we got to sit there and say, that was a fucking stupid mistake. I kind of saw the outcome, and I thought that I could actually change the outcome. And so you're literally trying to play God. But at the end of the day, if that's what I say about mathematics, if you all have all fucking negative numbers, you're going to start with a negative, right? 0 times 100 is 0. 0 times a fucking million is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. And so sometimes we take those variables and there's a fucking 0, and we're saying, you know what? No, I think we're going to come out with a 1. So we're making a fool of our own minds. And so that's what I'm talking about today, is that we're actually not being authentic to ourselves and talking about instinct. When I look at some of all the bad decisions I made in my life, and I made some fucking crazy ones, right? Is that I honestly believe my intuition has always said red flag. And then I'm like looking at it and saying, wow, is it really a red flag? And since it's not mathematic, it's not exact to me. So then I'm like, no, I'm going to try to manipulate the variable. Bad math. And so what I'm saying is that ultimately, that whole funny story that says, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, has the fucking feathers a duck. So we can never alter something that we know is going to pretty much end up in disaster. And that's why we got to really interview the person that you're dealing with in business, personally, and all that. And if you just shut up and listen and don't do the fucking talking, they're going to tell you everything that you need to hear. But we're so busy trying to make the sale, and then we don't even know if we're going to get in bed with the wrong fucking person.
Yeah.
Then you're sitting in the deal, and you're like, fuck, I never wanted this deal. You know what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah,
So-
you need to do the research on cigarettes
Yeah.
before you start smoking them.
Yeah,
You think you're not
yeah.
going to
So
get
I think-
cancer.
So I think that ultimately, but we as like won't take a big risk. Like you're not going to go out there and be like, you know what, we'll go on camera and sock some fucker in the face so I can pick up a criminal charge. Well, we don't do those kind of severes, but we should treat everything like that and say, well, you know what? So we are always thinking, is there going to be a significant repercussion with the decision? And we got to change that. And I think if you take more of a conservative approach to everything and say, I'm going to analyze everything that I do, you're going to save yourself in the long run a shitload of time and unneeded stress and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was talking to a friend of mine and dealing with an ex, and now it's a child support. And it's like one fucking decision when your life was perfect, and then now you're dealing with somebody who's such a fucking pain in the ass, and you're like wondering every day, are they gonna try to find me for full custody? And the person's never been in that person's life. And so when you look at that decision, but I was sitting there and we're laughing and saying, I called the outcome. Right? And I was like, that's a bad fucking choice. Right? And I think that, I don't know if you guys heard this, but they're talking about states are coming together because criminal, the number one attorney that doesn't have to work by certain type of rules in billing is a divorce attorney. Everyone else kind of has a set, right? Even as a murder case. A divorce attorney can set the numbers based on how they feel, and people are just getting taken to the fucking pain. So what they're talking about is setting up marriages, and you have to research, and where it's like a license and it expires, and you renew it constantly. Therefore, you're not stuck to a fucking lifetime contract like Death Row Records, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work for you. So you're in there for the 5 years, someone can say, well, fuck, I made a bad decision.
Yeah.
So now I got to do my time like prison, or it could be bliss. And I don't know if I want to sign up for another 5 years. And I think it totally makes sense because you hear about all these people getting taken for the fucking pain. And a lot of people like to use biblical terms against you to make you, and it's that whole guilt. And you're like, is it guilt or is it manipulation? So if your gut feels like manipulation, you got to be fucking smart. And you got to be able to pull back and say, well, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I think those are the things that I'm talking about, mental savoir-faire. And you got to be careful because your friends might even pull this shit on you.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you sit back, and so I think one of the things that's been refreshing and why I think I've kept friendships or people see who I am is they make the comments, what you see is what you fucking get. Like, I ain't trying to get shit out of you. I'm telling you immediately. When I come with my fucking ice cream cone, you better have fucking chocolate and peanuts. That's all I know. Or I'm turning back with my ice cream cone. And I've learned that. And people, as when I was younger, would be like, well, he's selfish, or he, no, because I'm not asking you for shit. So how could I be selfish? If I come with my one marble, I'm not looking at John's pile of marbles and like, hey, John, well, I'm trying to swoon you here. And, you know, I was hoping you look at this marble so I can get to 3 of your marbles. No, I'm happy with my one fucking marble playing up against the sand. And I know I can't hit a hard solid because I don't want to fuck up my marble, but I'm going to stay with my one marble. But if John says, hey, you know what? I got this marble and I want to play you for it. I don't know if you guys ever played marbles in the yard or not, right, when you're a kid. Yeah. And I decided, you know what? I want to take the risk. I'm going to see if I can win a marble off of John or 2 or 3. That's it. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's the risk versus reward. And that's what you got to be careful on, because what I want to touch on this next, I'm going to touch this is, I don't know if John put it up there now, but
Your first point?
which I already covered, the setting clear expectations. So I want to talk about, and I kind of stole this. Typical people out there are in 3 categories, right? Excusers, accusers, or choosers.
Love it.
So let's talk about the fucking excuse motherfucker, right? You sit with them or her, and she's making a million excuses like, well, I can't do this, or it's COVID, or am I this? And I'm like, you know what? You were worthless before COVID. Right? But you know what we don't say? We just sit there and say, oh, no, you know what? I think it was this. No, wake up and smell the coffee. So do you want to surround yourself with a bunch of those excusers?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And they're bad. They don't cause too much harm on you because they're really not trying to do anything more. So they're not really attaching to you. So, think about in your life, and I want to kind of give their example. If they know someone in their life, they're not to mention by name, but or been in a situation, where have you been with someone that makes all kinds of excuses? Right? Because whatever it is, how many people in your life do you run across?
Almost everyone.
I just like everything went through a play. I like to observe, and that's something I've learned as older in my life is learning to listen. And man, you would really freak out on the stuff people say to make me understand why they don't want to do something.
Mm.
There's a saying, Les Brown. I love Les Brown. But
I just heard his voice right when you said that.
Yeah. And it was like they'll do whatever it takes. Like they will argue. There it is. They will argue their limitations so they can keep them. And it's something. I mean, I'm not saying that I never was at a time in my frame like that, but there are people that will seriously sit there and argue why they can't get something done or why something does. And it just blows my mind that they can come up with all these reasons why they can't and not one fucking reason why they can. There's like not even like, they don't even want to talk about it because I used to respond with like, well, here's this path. And they're, I can't, I can't do that. But it's just such a reflection on so many people are just like so surrendered and just want to be carried across the road. And, like the victim, the victim mindset. And a lot of us have handfuls of those excusers, and not saying that I've never had an excuse and stuff, but I grow from it and I've learned when I caught myself doing
That's
that.
okay, Nikki. We can go and say.
Yeah.
So in one part of your life, you might have been an excuser.
Yeah, I have.
And you grew out of it. That's okay, right?
Even when I was in basketball, like I ruined my basketball career by letting a coach ruin it for me. And instead, now if I went back, I should have went in and just like tore the floor up. But instead, I used an excuse to let someone dictate my future, which we're divinely guided because I'm super grateful. I wouldn't be who I am now, But I mean, I was guilty at one point for having an excuse to let someone else, dictate my future. And instead of like not giving that even as an option.
But I'm gonna look at it this way. Even I'm gonna touch this. Okay, so I'm gonna give you an example, right? So I was, so I did a big analytics with a bunch of guys who were inside my fucking conference room. We're a week and a half from this shit, and so I'm like, talking to stupid people, not getting my shit done, and so I'm talking to some fuckers in New York, and I'm like depending on them to do a move, right? So I'm gonna give you an example. And so I went to do an E-Trade and I ended up on some bullshit deal because, I trade under multiple entities. And so it throws a fucking red flag. So E-Trade was like, fuck you, you're not doing it because it throws a red flag. And so I have to explain this. So then I said, well, fucking open the Charles Schwab. And I opened the Charles Schwab. I wait to the last fucking minute and I'm transferring $750,000 into Charles Schwab. I didn't know that it had to be $250,000 at a time. I didn't do the research. And Tesla came around and I missed the fucking boat and all the stuff was in there. And so there's no fucking excuse. So there's not the lesson. Guess what the lesson was taught? The lesson has been taught is this. Jack, you try to rely on your brilliance and your quick, witty thinking. But when it came to compliancy, you didn't need the fucking compliancy. And now you fucking missed a huge opportunity. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So absolutely. I'm not sitting there like, oh, it was a divine fucking thing that I missed Tesla. No, it was a fucking bad move. And now I'm missing 20 million from my cap. But do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I think we got to get there and be clear with ourselves and say, we're just a fuck up today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're just a fuck up.
Yeah.
And you know what the fuck? I should have relied on someone and I should have been there calling every motherfucking banker that I know because I know bank presidents and said, this is what I need to be done. And I know this is going in, but what do we have to do? And then I should have called Charles Schwab and said, Charles Schwab, we're going to wire this fucker into an account that you're going to create, and there's not going to be no holds because we're all talking together. then when the transaction happened, it would have happened. Did I know exactly the steps to take? No. But did I have the time in my hand? Yes. So what pisses me off is God's giving me this brilliance, and I sound like this. Right? And I lost fucking opportunity. So I think we got to stop giving people excuses. So when the opportunity goes out the fucking door, you don't move to the table.
Yeah.
Oh, another example is this one. He sold a piece of real estate that the dibs were there. We're in the fucking meeting. I could have took it, and it sold for like almost 70% more than the individual bought it. Same fucking story. Sitting right there, and I didn't move fast enough, and those are the things that I'm talking about. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we can't sit there. Fuck the divine opportunity bullshit. You know what? We just fucked up, and we don't have that opportunity. And guess what? Now we have to work twice or 3 times and harder to make up for that opportunity. And hopefully that God says, you know what? I'm going to send you another one. It's like the whole fable of the coins. What did you do with your coins? Right? And it's in the Bible. I don't know exactly because I'm going to chop this fucker up. But one dug a hole, put his coins in there. The other one did some, and then one actually invested in all this shit. We got to look deep down ourselves and saying, you know what? When you I didn't even dig the fucking hole. I just put the coins next to me and just looked up in the air because I was like, I got these other coins over here. But that's not the attitude. You see what I'm trying to say? So what happens is you're not striking while the iron's hot.
Mm-hmm.
No excuse for me.
Yeah.
A trained assassin, that's exactly what they teach us. Strike while the iron's hot. Strike while the iron's hot, right? If you're a sniper, you're not going to be out there and you see the enemy and you've identified him. You're like, should I wait 10 seconds for the shot? No, you take the shot. You see what I'm trying to tell you? So I think we got to get away from all of us here at the Truth Podcast. We're the ones going to make this example of the things. No, we got to talk about, you know what? We fucking dropped the ball. And there is no divine, we dropped the fucking ball and then our destiny was here. No, because that's just making concessions and bullshit in our mind so that we can continue being a fuck up.
Yeah.
So once you find your shortfall, just get on that sucker and repair it so you're not there again. And I think that's where we got to be hard. And that's what our society is telling these kids. And this is why everyone's got a fucking trophy. And this is why everybody can play. No. If I step out there with John and I pick up a football and he's like, dude, you don't fucking can't be a quarterback. I'm sorry. Because of 10 things, I'm going to sit there and say, okay, I might not give up on the spot. But if he comes back and says, well, can you do A, B, and C? And he can't do it. But it's like martial arts.
Yeah.
If you have not worked on being able to spread your hips, right? And that flexibility, well, now what's going to make you a good martial artist? It's not. So the first thing that you're learning is the flexibility part of it, period. You see what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
And so, but no, we're going to go there and say we're just going to do it, and it's all sloppy shit. And so I think we got to get away from that shit. So I took us a little bit on a tangent, but.
No, it's good. And I'm going to say why it's good is, we look at our educational system and we look at stuff like we're always told either we're wrong or right. But see, moments like this and what you taught is it's okay when you're wrong. You can correct it and you can change it and you can do better. And that's what lacks from a lot of mentorship and a lot of training and a lot of learning. And it's so beautiful you said that because no matter what, no matter if you do mess up or you did whatever, that's the part that makes people better is that moment of knowing, okay, I can change it. Or, I learned from this. Next time, I'm not going to drop the ball. I'm going to stay ready. Like I've learned a lot. Like I've dropped the ball a few times where I'm like, I'm never leaving my house without my camera or my computer because I remember all of a sudden I was on a random trip and I just didn't have it. And I was like, oh, I'll never not be ready. But it was something that I chiseled and I changed.
Yeah.
But that is so beautiful because it's not taught to us in school and nothing. It's either you're right or you're wrong. You're right or you're wrong. You're right or you're wrong. There's no growth from that.
And the fucked up part is, you know what? You might never get that opportunity again.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt.
Right? You see what I'm trying to say? And then you're sitting there twiddling your ass.
Yeah.
And back in 2008, I was in the same opportunity. And I'm sitting with the Fortune 100 CFO that I work with that's in our conglomerates. And we're sitting there and we're doing the Apple trade. And we're letting a fucking broker that's never made shit. He's just trading it up. And stopping us from moving $500,000, right? And we're there. Here's a Fortune 100 guy, been in New York, done this shit. I'm a fucking straight mathematical guy. I'm looking at this way. I know technology. And we let someone say, well, I don't think that's a good thing. And I'm thinking, well, you're worried about your fucking commission because you're not trading it this way. And we're just done. So I've been in 2 situations now that were life-changing, adding to the next layer. And I could sit here and say, you know what, it doesn't matter, it's divine, and I'm still rich, and no, fuck no, it's dumb as shit, because now I got to put twice the work to get back to where I could have been, and it could have been a done deal. You see what I'm trying to tell you? Absolutely. And that's why I want us to start telling ourselves that, and same thing with time. I'm not going to sit there and let someone manipulate me in any type of sort, saying, you know what, you're going to miss out on this. No, fuck no, I don't like Captain Crunch. So when you're telling me that I'm going to miss out on eating Captain Crunch, I fucking hate Captain Crunch. You know I'm a mini wheat motherfucker. You know what I'm trying to tell you? Mm-hmm. But so many times we let people convince us that we like Captain Crunch, and the whole time we're eating that fucker, we're not liking it. We're making a concession. And so we're in there when we're eating that Captain Crunch, we're talking about what kind of tastes like mini wheats. I think it kind of has a certain texture to it, though. And that's what I'm telling you right now. We've all done it. We're doing it. But if we fix that earlier, we're gonna gain so much huge leaps of success. You look at all this bullshit on Instagram. You see all this bullshit on when I first started the podcast, and it's like, do this, and you're gonna be rich. Can you buy houses with no money and do this? He's in real estate. I don't fucking know how you're gonna buy houses if you have no cash flow and no money and all that to do flips.
Yeah, exactly.
But you buy it. That is the stupidest fucking thing I've heard.
People will sign up for that program too.
Signing up for that
instead of actually using the money to go out and buy a property.
Well, they don't even got the fucking money. But
I'm saying the little money they do have, they're out here going and spending on seminar, and that's another thing that we can go all day on. Is all these people, like for me now, I've done so much personal development at my early age that everyone now says the same stuff in different ways. That's just for me. I like to do it now just to get my mind focused on certain things, but you'll see all these people, oh yeah, I spent $5,000 to go to this seminar, and then I spent another 10 to go to this seminar. I pulled out a personal loan to go to Grant Cardone's thing, or I signed up for 10X, or I signed up for this. Why are you signing up for so much? You know what I mean? It's an ABC thing. And then people will go to these things and never follow up with it because they think, what do you say, the spiritual, the business Jesus or something?
Yeah. So I'm not.
They think just because they pay X amount to go see someone speak on a stage, that instantly they'll come out and be like, boom, business plan's done, 100K is ready to go in the bank. It's in my business account. We're gonna get things rolling. Hell no. All they're there to do is make you feel good. They'll give you actual real advice, but it's up to you to actually follow up and do it. No matter if it's coming from Zig Ziglar, Les Brown, Grant Cardone, Tony Robbins, whatever. They're all saying the same thing in different ways. Yeah. They're all saying that, like, even all the stuff we talk about, right? Yeah. It's all fundamental stuff. But people will be like, oh, well, I'm going to listen to the truth, and then I'm going to listen to this, and then I'm going to listen to that, and maybe I'll follow whatever they say. But I agree, like, you need to click and understand the person and the way they speak to let it sink in. But what I'm going off of is just everyone's moving from thing to thing to thing to thing, and they're never actually taking the action to move forward because they're just trying to say, oh yeah, well, I want to learn from this, or I want to learn from this. I don't know.
And you got to be. I just watched Fight Club. Remember when they used to go from one support group to the other support group, and it even didn't have anything to do with them.
Exactly.
That gave them comfort.
Well, the sad thing is too, they're wasting so much time. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? If you spend 2 years just going to seminars, you could have went to one seminar, started working towards your goals, and then at the end of the 2 years, it's the same thing. Like not talking bad about school or anything like that, but I knew exactly what I wanted to do. School made no sense for me. And right out of high school, I was managing people who had their masters in finance who were like 26 and I was 19. And I was their boss making more than them. You know what I mean? So when I did that, I was like, holy shit, these guys went and wasted all this time. And I'm already building something at 19 years old because I knew exactly to do what I needed to do. All I needed to do was pass the Series 7 and 6 and do that. I didn't need a degree or anything like that. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing of people taking action or people saying, oh yeah, well, we're going to go and listen to this person and listen to this person, or we're going to try this career. And then, oh, well, actually, Jack does technology, makes a lot of money. I'm going to go try that. And then they don't like it. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe, I'll go sell real estate because so-and-so makes a lot of money. I'll do that. And then they don't like it. You know what I mean? And it's just flavor of the day.
And I think this is it's awesome because we're going to get to that towards the end of it, right? And I think the other type of person is an accuser, right? They're always accusing the other person because they're not happy. And this is a fucking dangerous place to be. This is dangerous to be as a company owner. This is very dangerous to be in a relationship when someone is making you feel like their happiness is because you're fucking shit up or you don't see based on what their views are, or whatever it is, and you got to say those fundamentals. This is a very dangerous place to be. And when you're around an accuser, you got to fucking step out, because if they're accusing you of all kinds of shit, you got to get out. Or because they're always accused themselves. They're always the victim, right? You sit and talk to me, well, I can't do this because of this, or you know what this, or you're causing me mental havoc, so I can't do that. And you're like, no, you can't even fucking get up in the morning. And so I think that one of the things is you got to be able to identify that individual immediately. But I'm telling you right now, the most dangerous one you'll ever meet is the accuser, not the excuser, right? Because the excuse guy, but an accuser, because ultimately, depending how good they are, or if they're type, they can mentally fuck you up and completely throw you off your path. And you could stay off that path so deep that you're screwed, and very dangerous in a work environment with an employee accusing, well, I can't do this or fucking that. You know what? Your problems are not my problems. Right?
Give me an example.
I'll give you a perfect example. When I was at CA, right, I had an engineer, and he was my cohort, right? And so he's the engineer, and so I would take every fucking job, right, no matter what. And they needed a fiber guy. And so they came out and said, we're not going to pay for this. But I had looked on to what it costed to become into fiber at Lucent, and it was like fucking 30 grand. And so this guy's like, I'm going to take you out there. And everyone's looking at, well, this guy's going to make all this money, so you're getting used. And I'm thinking, you're a stupid fuck. You're going to actually polish fiber in a real environment. And if you fuck up, you don't have to buy the shit. And when you come out, you're going to be able to say, I'm fiber certified. Because I said, I said, oh, yeah. And the second thing is you'll be able to say, I did this job.
Yeah.
And so the guy that's with me is like, oh, well, we're going to get taken to the paint. You're a dumbass, and so whatever. So I knew one thing. I said, look, guys, you got to pay my expenses, and at least I got to get something the fuck out of it. So we'll give you the laptop you have. So I'm thinking, fuck, I'm going to be fiber certified. I have a reference customer and a laptop. And you're paying the fucking gas and all that shit. So I had this little fucking car. And depending if I was going to New Mexico doing these jobs, I would sleep in the back, and I would get the per diem, and then I would go to the gym, and I always negotiated for them to pay my daily gym pass. And they would do it, right? Because they liked the way I looked, and they thought that was a positive. This whole fucking time, I saved all that money. But the one guy was like, oh, we're in the wrong fucking path, and he's mad at me because I'm doing it. And he's saying, you know what? You now fucked it up for all of us because you do this without no more pay. Long story short, when I knocked it all out, came done, then they came to me and said, I need to do this. And I said, well, I did it for this. It was a really hard time, guys. I did this, but you know what? If you want me to do it, and I knew what the industry called it, they're charging $250 a splice. And I said, well, what I can do for you, I said, you know what? You guys have been so good to me. I could do it for $75.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, they're like, this little motherfucker, he came in, but they knew that at the end of the day, all the money that I had made them, and I never asked them for it. But I knew the knowledge was worth it.
Yeah, it was adding to your toolbox.
But you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But most people don't look at it that way. And so anytime I have an opportunity to learn, I'll fucking take it, because I don't give a shit about the money. The money's stupid, because that person has mastered that craft. And when I see a 50-year-old, and that time I saw a 50-year-old, and he knew his shit, I was like, oh shit, this guy has inked it in the industry.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm following everything. His tools of even quoting copper and fiber and all that, I learned those tools from him. How many millions has it made me today? From that one man.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, oh, he's a dick, he's this, he's in it for himself, all that shit. I don't give a shit. The accuser, they're always accusing him of being a dick. And I'm like, what if I'd have been a dumbass? Oh, well, you know, they said this guy's a dick, so I'm not going to go in there and take the advantage.
Hey, do you even talk to those people now?
No,
you know I mean,
they're all broke.
Exactly.
Fucking broke.
It doesn't matter.
You know, but you see what I'm trying to tell you? But at the time, I didn't give a fuck if you liked it or not, because I knew that my performance was going to strike. So I wasn't in the mob mentality. I knew I'm going to do this. And so I knew that I wasn't really trying to steal time. I wasn't really trying to fucking make extra on my check. Matter of fact, the county would come to me and say, dude, you miscalculated this. You have to pay an additional $200. I remember a county would come to me and say, how come your expenses are so low and these guys are here? Because you know what? I didn't want no one looking at me. I didn't want someone saying, if there was a riff, well, we got to get rid of this fucker because he's not this in expenses. I wanted to be the last guy I ever thought about on the list. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. The shit hit the fucking market, right? And they riffed. They came in. I'm thinking, fuck, I'm going to get riffed. I'm the rookie. You know, I'm the last time. They riffed everybody except me and the highest technical guy. And they said, because your values, you have value in multiple subsets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah.
And so when you walk away looking at that, and this is what I try to tell people this. The majority of people out there, you're not going to fucking get rich. I'm sorry. You're just not. You're not going to do it. I don't give a damn how smart you think you are. There's something called aptitude. And you really got to look at that aptitude. And people come to me all the time and say, you know what, General? I just want to get in your camp, and I know I could do this and we could do that. And I'm saying, well, what are you doing? They got a great job. And I'm like, well, if you've done this, what do you think rolling with me is going to fucking do? Because you actually have a bigger opportunity over there because you're doing A, B, and C. You want to craft it. I'm not interested in crafting anymore. I'm on the fucking lay of my career. Like, I'm like LeBron James. Like, literally, when I make that joke, me 50 and LeBron all came out in 03, I've already hit the success. I don't give a damn if it's not going to be Michael Jordan's 5 ring championships. I got 3 championships, and I'm happy where I'm at. But I'm going to leave a different legacy. So you don't want to jump on my train. I'm ready to, I'm kind of like diving it. You know what I'm trying to tell you? I'm in the league because I like it. And those are the things that I try to explain to people. Is at the end of the day, I can't fucking do shit for you. What aptitude do you have and what can you bring? I can magnify you. You have something fucking amazing about you and it's a moneymaker already, damn right, I can magnify you. But I can't grow you. Can't grow you. That's why I say I'm not the business Jesus Christ. I can't create a miracle. Right? You already have to come proven and stuff. You don't know how many times we've been here, people have been around us all, well, you know what? I really want to help on this and do this, and this. You look around, this isn't here. So you know those guys are full of shit. So you make all those beer buddies. And you're not mad at them, but you know they're not going to do any real lifting, right?
Yeah. Well, even to tie in on that for everyone listening or the people that do ask that, even before I met Jack, I mean, I was 19 and I was already pulling a little under 6 figures. You know what I mean? And I only say that because I came to the table with something already and said, hey, here's where I'm at in my life, but I want more. You know what I mean? So Jack always makes saying, you know, you have to, what do you say? You have to be an NBA prospect and I can make you into an all-star.
Yeah. And I use the combine, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you already have to be NBA quality. And if you're already NBA quality, I'm going to fucking make you a superstar. But I'm like Belichick. I can't take you from high school and work with you. I can't even do that. And so I didn't understand my trainer. My trainer used to say this, and I used to think he was so harsh. And I'm like, man, this guy's so harsh. And he would say, I only train champions. And so I came into this game wearing yellow pants, didn't have a belt, had martial arts, but not a lot, with my nose fucking busted. And I'm like, well, how come he doesn't cut me? But what he knew is that I was a fucking champion, right? Number one, how? Physical ability. You saw me, I was just a phenom, right? Speed, power. I could take a punch, shit like that. And so I already had those blocks of these fucking guys didn't have. So I never understood that. And that's what I'm talking about. So you have to know who you're preaching to or asking, because I'm looking across the table and saying, you're a fucking complete fuck up, right? If I go to Warren Buffett and he came to Albuquerque and this opportunity, if I put the financial statement and I put what I've done and where I'm at and I put it, he's going to be fucking impressed. And I'm going to say, hey, is there an opportunity where I can do? He's going to fucking look at this kid and say, you know what? Okay, he's got my fucking metrics. It's not going to be off the skyrocket because I've dealt with billionaires, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. But you can't come in there 100,000 there, and fucking clean shit and start talking with the $1 billion dudes. Just can't do it. And it's okay.
It's not worth their time.
You can't be mad at yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to fucking know your ability. And then you know what, then you can seek the opportunity. And that's what I think how we started this whole podcast right now. Being clear with yourself and understanding the clear expectation. And that's what we've gone 3 podcasts ago. Knowing what your ability is, right? Well, what I call it, stamina. What's your human stamina? And I think that's exactly right. And this is what I use him as the example. Well, fucking Carson won. He was an athlete. Obviously a damn good basketball player is what he said, right? He understood the ass kickings, right? Already had the hard step back. So he already had those makes. By the time he got to me, it's like he'd already gone through fucking boot camp. He had already gone through EIT. So now he's in jump school. Now we're going into sapper school. We're going into what I call special forces. And what I didn't understand, I used to think that I could actually take a fucking lamb and make it a lion. Couldn't do it. I learned that very early on, that I was wasting my fucking time. And I just had to throw my hands up and said, no harm, no foul. But I don't have that ability. That's I can't create miracles. And I made those mistakes building people at harmonics. There's a list of people that I should have cut fucking super fast. But I was, again, doing what my trainer said. Do not fall in love with, what do you guys think? I'm giving
Wait.
it-
People? I don't
No,
know.
no, no.
Mediocrity or
No. I have it. Do not fall with potential.
potential.
Oh yeah,
I was
that's right.
listening.
Yeah.
I
Do
listened.
not fall in love with potential.
Not fall in love with potential.
Because you've seen guys that have the highest athletic ability and potential, and they fucking fail.
And they go to jail or
Potential
something.
don't mean
You know
shit,
what I mean?
right?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So you see what I'm trying to tell you? And that's what I think we were talking about early on. And if we are able to know what the potential is, and the people will fucking tell you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you, dude, I'm struggling with the 10 tasks you've given me. How do you expect it to go any further?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And so that's kind of that's the big piece you got to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And you
That's
know,
the same thing. People would always ask me, "Wow, how'd you get so close to Jack?" or blah blah blah, and then people would get mad, right? 'Cause they wouldn't, and I'm like, "Well, you need to bring value to him too. He's not just gonna sit here and give you, advice and things and invest his time out of his own life.
No.
He doesn't have to invest. He could just stay at his house and do whatever he wants or travel the world." You know what I mean? And that's the thing that people, like, we would always talk, right? Like, kids would be like, "Oh yeah, we just want to get a ride in his car." I'm like, I never asked Jack for a ride in his car. I just wanted to take him to lunch or go to breakfast with him. And I got the tab. Don't worry about it. I just, like, when you go deeper than just that, how did this individual get to this position?
Yeah.
That's how I would examine things, and not just like, "Oh yeah, I want to take a picture in this car and tell everyone I rode in it," or blah, blah, blah. Who cares about that?
Yeah.
It's just a trophy.
It's the people's intention, you know?
Yeah.
well, you know what it is, Nikki? It's not even their intention. They don't know the value.
Yeah.
So if you listen to what Carson said, right? They don't have a bad intention. They want the picture of the fucking car, but they're like, that's the end all be all.
Yeah.
But what it is like he's saying, look, if I take the fucker to lunch and I buy him lunch and I find out what he likes, then automatically I'm going to end up riding the fucking cars multiple times. And what the funny part is, there was a stint where he's driving the fucking cars all the time, right? You see what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah, that's actually, I didn't even think of that. That's
Yeah.
really deep, because it came to the point my intention was never there. And then all of a sudden the cars are out. They feel like they're mine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was driving them, cleaning them, taking care of them, doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was never my intention. But I got so much more than what the average person's intent was.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, I have my own friends that have money and they get all mad. Like, I got fucking cars that can drive the cars. And I'm like, because he knows I'll fuck him up. And he also knows what my expectation is. And I put him through the expectations. And then when I jump in their fucking cars, Gaby, if you're listening out there, and I'm like, fuck, I'm not doing that shit. But, I laugh because I know. And I get in the Subaru and I'm like, okay. And trust me, I'm fucking testing all the time.
Yeah.
I'm around walking around with that side swag, looking around, and I look at the fucking floors and I'm in there like, what the fuck me see this looks like? No. So immediately, if you know me, I demand a fucking high standard to be in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Being in my life is not easy. And that's why most people can't hack it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a demanding motherfucker. Well, I'm like, my whole thing is, if you're in my life and I'm counting, you better fucking answer that phone, or we gotta get this shit done or whatever. And that's who I am. And I'm always telling people, you're in love with the glitz and glamour part of me, but do you really understand the other side of me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
The fucking guy is gonna Clorox a sink 3 times and wash it, wipe it, fucking hit it with glass cleaner, then hit it with a towel. That's me.
Yeah. I mean, I observe you. You know how you're always testing me. I'm very observant. And the other day I was like, "Coach, put me in," and I met up with him and we went and we installed something, but I never worked with him before in a work scenario or nothing. But I observed, I watched him. He's precise. He's clean. I got in there and put in work just like any of his other workers did.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't wait for instructions. I didn't wait anything. I come from a construction design background, so I know there's fundamentals. Right away, I asked the guy, where does the label go on what cord? What's the number coordination on this? By the time he came back in, I already had the wires put in. I was dressing it correctly, but I observed and I learned a lot. Like what I take from that day is I don't care what job title or, level. He was the hardest worker on his team.
Mm-hmm.
He was the hardest worker on the team, no matter that he's the CEO of the company. And then not only that, is after we clocked in, we beat his team like by miles. I mean, I even had the job site cleaned up before they even finished doing their wiring. Like we were ready to go. Like I adapted to his work environment and I saw how he worked. And we have a lot of similarities.
Yes.
So I know that I can work with Jack because we're just clean like that. And we're just like, go hard. Right. So when we leave, a lot of people would have clocked out of work and went home and went off. You know what he does? He went in, he cleaned his tool bag, he organized, he made sure everything was set and clean and pristine, right? And these are like his workers are already at home, right? And then not only that, we go in there and we start testing all the batteries on all the machines. Because why? Is because he's the hardest worker on his team. But what does that show? It shows the results that he gets, because if he depended on those guys to charge those batteries, they'd be fucked at the job site the next day. Like 3 of them were dead, 2 of them weren't working, but they don't know. But that shows the difference. And so what I learned from there is like, what do I do when I leave a photo shoot? What am I doing? What does my camera bag look like? What is this? And you know, it was a beautiful reflection, because I know that I've leveled up in a lot of ways, but I didn't just sit there and be like, oh, cool, I'm riding with Jack and his, you know, whatever, and you know, all this stuff.
Riding in the G-Swag.
I mean, it is sexy, but I took it as in like, okay, how does he work? How is he talking to his workers? What is he doing? What speed does he work at? And it's just like a learning ability, but that's like taking an opportunity and learning how to seize it, you know?
You know, what's crazy is because there's a contractor there, and he was like, oh, fuck, right? He tells Nick, he says, dude, you guys just showed up after, and his fucking pace is ridiculous, right? And so, like, we literally had surpassed him, and they had already been there an hour. And, you know, I'm a no bullshit kind of guy, but people love to work with me because I'm a fun worker. I'm not like a dictator. And I'm a teacher. I'm not, oh, you fucked up, you know, and I'm always teaching you, right? And Nikki was like, she got to see that, and we were just done. But, you know, again, I got my weapons ready for the next mission. Like when I said the bag, who's going to go and do the bag, right? And I'm out there thinking, fuck. You know what I said to myself? That fucking pissed me off. I didn't have that tool when I got there, so I had to improvise with my fucking knife. And I could have chopped my finger off. And so, you know, I was going through my mind, said, I didn't like that. So then I went to the tool bag and said, this is how I look at the pockets. I look at everything clockwise. Boom, 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 boom. Everything that I always use the most is going to go on the left top. And then I'm going to go from the least use. And then I'm going to make a fucking mental formula behind it. Then I got a sub bag to the big bag. So I said, if I got to roll out fast and I'm doing this, then I'll carry this. But if I got to call someone to bring back. And so you're always literally making your shit better. But like I was telling Nick, I showed up and I'm laughing in this fucking tool room. And guys came in and said, you know what? We were going to put that tool case together. And we came in and it was done. Because I don't fucking wait. Right? I will never, the listeners out there, I will never put my personal destiny in another human's hands. Ever. If I know it's going to cost me or kick my ass, I am not putting the destiny in your hands. I want to take that last shot just like fucking Michael Jordan. If we're at 100 points to 100, I'm taking that shot. Because I know that I'm going to put that effort, and I've practiced 1,000 times to get that shot out.
Being fully responsible for everything, you know? It's a beautiful thing. I love it. You know, I've rolled with a lot of people in my life, and my favorite ones are the ones that aren't afraid to put in the work. You know, I left there, you know, and I've been doing yard work for like 3 days, but I didn't give an excuse. I didn't care what time it was. I didn't care nothing. I didn't wait for someone. I wasn't trying to, you know, I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity. I'm helping my mom. I'm working out. And like, I just started applying stuff. Like everything you teach me, I apply, right? So like mathematically, I'm like, okay, let me strategically look at this yard. What should I do and what pattern should I do it and how should I execute it? And I did it and it changed. Instead of like just starting in an area or shoveling, I just like apply everything to every aspect. And I think that's where people get lost, is like, they only think that they have to apply the mathematics to their success. No, that shit's got to implement across the board.
Everything, you know how you make the bed.
Even how you make the bed. And it's so funny because I've been purging lately, right? Like, I'm like, okay, where am I at in my life? What do I own? What do I have? And I was like, it's time to clean the garden. You know, I posted the other day, like, a plane can't land unless the runway's clear. And a lot of our success and our, you know, all this stuff can't come into our life because we're a fucking mess. And our beliefs are a mess, and our thought patterns are a mess, and all of this stuff has to be changed and cleaned. And, you know, I talk to people that, you know, oh, I want to be a millionaire and I want to be this money. I'm like, well, what's your money blueprint? Like, how do you feel about $1? Because a friend of mine, when I was, I don't know, like 20 years old, and I decided to leave my first job in the career. I mean, I was such a baby cry that I had her walk with me to the boss's office to tell him I quit, because I didn't mentally have, no one taught me. I didn't have anybody in my family that had a career like that. Like I wasn't taught, but you know, she saw something in me just like Jack sees in me, right? So I went to her house and we had dinner, and she tells me, if you can't handle and stretch $100, because I used to always say I'm a future millionaire, I'm a future millionaire. She goes, how the fuck are you gonna stretch $1 million? And that has always stuck with me because I'm like I can't even manage $50. How the fuck am I gonna manage $100? You know, and here I was working at Fender, making bank, living paycheck to paycheck. Yep. You know, now I don't work for anybody. All my income comes from my streams of sources, but I have more money in my savings than I did when I was at the top of my fucking career because I didn't have those fundamentals. I didn't apply that. And then like just to backtrack with your worth ethic is like, I'm trying to implement that mathematical thought. Like I'm really trying to take away from like, there was a part in the movie and I'm trying to get better at my storytelling. And it was about a murder. And it's actually based on a true story. And this guy, you know, is facing the death sentence for murdering his kids. But with the people on the investigation just said, oh yeah, it looks like he started the fire and he just let his kids burn. Well, this guy that they finally hired later in the time, while the guy's like 3 days from dying, said, look, there's an astrologist that will tell you that your mood is this because the stars are like this and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, but I'm going to lay out the facts. And so he laid out the facts and the guy was innocent. Like there was burn patterns that fit, you know, from the furnace going up and stuff. And so like we could sit here and use all these excuses, but like what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to mathematically use all those elements and across the board in my, you know, love or relationships. Friendships and love is kind of the same shit because you invest time into my business. How am I strategically using math and science, right? Yep. No wishy-washy. No. I'm not staring at the fucking sun saying, oh, great things are happening to me. Yep. No, I'm walking out and I'm taking steps with that same desire, but I'm taking action. I'm plugging in those equations. What do you say? There's 4 of them. You add, subtract, multiply, and divide.
Only thing you do mathematics. You know, explain, Nikki, when I listen to you, and this is why I'm like on your ass when I tell this. And so you viewers out there, right? Oh, that's a size 12 Gucci, right? He says, what did the general see in me? And I saw a lot of nalga like a kicker is to kick your shit into straightness, right? That's why I wear the Gucci shoes so you get your ass kicked in style. So my whole thing, Nikki, what I like is that one of the mindset that I'm changing in humanity is you made a comment and you said, you know what, we haven't even cleaned our landing strip so the plane can't even land. And that is something society has said. And I'm going to rewire it for you. The plane can't even fucking take off because the landing strip is fucked up. It's not even in the air. And so when you're in a mentality of like, well, everyone has this bullshit and the receive, like the universe is going to deliver to me if I could. No, fuck no. The universe ain't going to deliver shit. You have to take that fucking plane and put it up in the air and decide what it's going to do, and then it's going to come back. And that's what I'm talking about, is people are too much sitting out there like, this is going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. What are you doing daily to make what you want happen? And this is why I call this fucking the Truth Podcast. Because the listeners that I'm trying to get out there is they listen to so much hogwash that they think they can actually sit there and think about something and it's going to fucking happen. Opportunity is always happening. It all depends how we strike. And this is what we kind of talked about, because I don't want to get cut off this, is the third person is a chooser, right? Those are the people you want to be around. Those are the ones that they're choosing what their destiny is. They've defined themselves. They're not out there trying to fucking, do the hoorah-rah. They're like, you know what, I'm 50 years old. I'm in technology. I'm not trying to do something else. This is where I'm at. It is. And I'll give you a good example. Me and Carson went to the weight room. And he made a comment. He said, how fucking long have we known each other and we haven't gotten to hit a workout? We had a massive workout, right? And I'm coming out the bench like LeBron. It's been a while. But I was in there and I was teaching him some stuff. And this is where it comes from a young bull to a baby bull, I tell him. So we're getting some pretty fucking heavy tricep workouts. And we could get out there and look all ballsy and start putting these dumbbells on our shoulder and getting them up. But you're taking an opportunity to fucking blow your shoulder. So I sat with him and I said, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take this dumbbell. We're going to put it on the bench. It's going to give you some time. You're going to set your hands. Then I'm going to lift it. We're going to go 6 to 8. But on number 8, you fucking ready. And when the full extension happens, you take it off. So I'm eliminating a chance of getting injured. But a lot of people have so much fucking ego and like, well, I'm going to show you how strong I am. I'm going to put this fucking aside, and then a mistake happens. And me, I apply logic to everything we do.
Yeah.
Everything we do. Because what I'm trying to do is I wish somebody would have come to me when I was his age, or no, younger actually, and said, dude, you're going to fucking get injured one day, and this is going to happen, and then you're going to be dealing with this shit later on. Like me with the fucking torn chest and second surgery, shit that's fucking whack. But if someone would have said, hey, do this, you don't go through. So now when I see something, I'm like, no, don't fucking do that. That's fucking dumb. You're going to fuck yourself up here. I'm not watching these shoulders. He's got very strong shoulders. But what could happen is if you have that much strength, you actually can compensate the fucking bad metrics. And then when you go that one step higher, you don't know, is when you blow that fucking tendon. Right? The shit you can never get back. It's not the muscle. You see what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah.
But those are those fundamentals that I apply to everything I do. Whether it's weight training or fucking money making or whatever, it's the same fundamental. There's no rush, there's no this. And I'm sitting there, we're laughing our fucking ass off. We have these fucking masks on. This is the stupidest fucking thing. I was sweating a freaking horse off because this is a lot of lungs over here, 54 inches on top. I need a bunch of air. And I'm dying and I'm thinking, this is dumb as shit. And so I said, I can't go with the traditional mask. I'm gonna have to figure out a bullshit fucking mask that looks like a coffee filter so I can breathe properly because this is whack. Whack as fucking shit. I'm gonna tell you right now.
That's why I wear that gator mask.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's just
And
dumb as
everyone, there was this guy, I'm to take us off track, but there was this guy, he went on Facebook and he's like, yeah, this lady was staring at me and like, those gator masks don't work. And he's like, well, I can't fucking breathe.
And I want to hear you with the statistical shit on it. I'm like, that's the fucking dumbest thing ever, right? And so I'm like, this is just going to cause so much shit, but that's for another podcast. So
The chooser.
ultimately, the chooser's where you want it. But this is what I'm going to tell you guys. And this is kind of circling back. Once you've discovered that and you've chosen your destiny, the next big thing, this is the fucking secret, okay? This is the drum roll. Once you discover your passion, right, where passion and ability meet, is where you're going to hit that fucking level of success. Because then you create your stride. Right?
Passion and ability.
The passion and ability, right? I told you what luck is. That's when opportunity meets preparation. Very different. That comes before. Right? You prepare to be a champ. You get the fucking opportunity. You fight it. You don't know if you want to be a fighter. But then you get an endorsement, and now you're with fucking Nike. And you found out that you really want to be a spokesperson for Nike, and that was really your passion. You see what I mean? People get that fucking mistaken. But you got to put the preparation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the opportunity shows. Then you develop the passion, and then you figure out your ability. And when those two meet, then it's just powerful. You see what I'm trying to tell you?
Yeah,
Does
absolutely.
that make sense? John, we want your input on this one, John.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you look at, I look at it just from, because I've been a coach for 26 years. If you don't, there's tons of kids that walk out on the field. And I mean, that's why I put down one of your quotes there, right there, is don't fall in love with potential. You look at some of them and you're like, oh, they look like an athlete. They look, they can do it, but that they don't have passion. So a lot of them don't have the passion for it. Like probably one of the best athletes I ever coached, who should still be in the NFL today, didn't have that passion for it, but he had tons of ability, and then didn't do the little things that he had to do, from academics to, not cleaning marijuana on his desk during math class,
Right.
so, and just making bad choices and dealing with the consequences. Because and I try to teach my kids this all the time, and I've really gone into this sort of mantra of, there's no right or wrong. There's choices and consequences, and you have to live with those consequences. You're going to make those choices. Okay, you're going to stay up late. Well, okay, are you going to be able to get up early that next morning and make sure that you can still perform in class? So I try to parent from that perspective, and even look at coaching from that perspective. But, I think, just like this point that we're talking about right here is passion and ability. You have to have both of those together, and you have to have high levels of those together to see the outcome that you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is one that I stole, right? I want you to know this. Think about this. BLAME. The acronym for blame, be lame. Be lame. That's what blame is. Being lame. Lame as fuck.
I don't know how I never saw that.
That's right. Be lame.
I'll never.
So when you're blaming shit on people, this, that, the other, no. You know, when I've been through some fucked up situations and they said, would you blame anything on that individual? I'm like, no, I don't blame that. I blame everything on myself.
Yeah.
And I've told you this multiple fucking times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, whoa. And they're like, really? I said, oh, yeah. One, I fucking claim to have this high level of intellectual fucking ability. I saw the fucking red flags, and what did I try to do? Make a fucking concession. It almost fucking cost me a lot. It almost cost me a lot, right? But that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? And so when you sit in there, and this is the famous fucking line I use, don't pick up fucking pit bulls in the street and then take them to the country club and think that they're not going to fucking kill the poodles. It's the whole thing of the scorpion and the frog, what I talked about last time. And that's what I'm talking about, the concessions and the fucking stupidity. Mm-hmm. And so you got to be, again, you understand the three categories we talked about, and you're there. And know this, the other person across the thing is not a bad person. Because guess what? There's a shitload of fucking excusers out there. They're going to hang out to each other, make fucking excuses, and they're going to probably have better lives than us. And there's a lot of, you know what I'm trying to say? And there's barely any fucking choosers. And you got to make a decision and say, do I want to choose to fucking have some mental clarity and some zen, or fucking fighting fucking World War Z every day? You got to make that decision, right? And the fucking accusers, there's a shit of those fucking people. And those negative fucks always end up with each other or not, or, they're screwing other people's lives and they take it. And I think my thing is that at the end of the day, you got to say yourself, you know what? That shit doesn't work for me. Just sorry. Forget the fucking feelings, because I'm telling you, the individual across you does not give a fuck about your feelings. If they're causing all the issues they are, all they care about is their own personal selves.
Yep.
Right? And so all they're grasping for this. There's an old saying, old CEO of mine told me, he says, never get in a pool with a drowning man. If you can't fucking swim, never get in a pool with a drowning man.
That's good.
So when you're sitting across the table and anything, and they're drowning, do not get in the fucking pool. You're not going to become an Olympic swimmer. Yeah. So you're fucking drowning, sorry. As strong as I am, I'm not getting in the pool with you.
Yeah.
You're fucked. We'll throw you a rope, then I might be able to pull you out. But you see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And so that's where we think all of a sudden that people are going to make this fucking change, and you're in there fucking drowning. And that's what I don't want for anybody, right? And I'm telling you this right now. I'm into blaming a lot of shit in my life, because I don't sit there because I have such high level of intellectual, even the way I resolve solution problems, right? And so, and I always tell people this, and my aptitude test is like, be a surgeon, because I think fast with my fucking hands and I'm so precise, right? Engineer number 2. You just got to apply it to everything in your life. So if you're sitting there, that whole story they say, well, opposites attract, no, that's fucking stupid as fuck. Because you got one lazy fuck, one good fuck, you're not gonna make it. Right? You got a blind horse and a strong horse, it ain't gonna work. Those are concessions. Someone bullshit, right? It's like when people are like, oh, money's not everything, because they're fucking broke. We're not saying money's everything, but in those perspectives, be careful who's giving you that advice, right?
Yeah.
Now, if Warren Buffett's over there saying, money's not everything. Oh shit, okay, what is Warren? You gotta listen. So you see what I'm trying to tell you?
Absolutely.
Be careful that the advice you're not getting, where it's coming from someone that's not a subject matter expert, or they know they could never achieve it. So it's that whole thing, misery loves company.
Absolutely.
And so, you know what I mean? It's the whole fucking Clownville. And that's what I really want to kind of end with is, you know what? At the end of the day, for all you guys tuning in now or a little bit, is bottom line is don't be a freaking accuser. An accuser, be a chooser. And at the end of the day, you're going to live a very significant life. You're going to live a hell of a significant life if you do not make excuses for yourself, you face it, and you're clear as crystal. And so the mantra for me, when I get to 2021, is I'm going to be living the best significant life I possibly could achieve. Because if I got to burn the fucking castle, I'm burning it. I'm burning everything what I got to do, because at the end of the day, sometimes it's better to start with a rebuild than a remodel. And most people don't understand when they look at a house, I was going to pick up an investment property, big time, 2.1 million. The house is about 8,000 square feet of fucking junk. I'm sitting there with Michael, and he says, level this fucker, because if you start putting money, even to get the showers or this ready
Discover other things behind the walls.
behind the walls, or all you did is put a fucking lipstick on a pig,
Lipstick on the pig, yeah.
right?
I've
So
never heard that. That's hilarious.
That's what I say all the time.
bottom line on this paper, okay? Are you living a significant life? And I'm gonna fucking say that 98% of you fuckers are lying. So I'm not even living my significant life, and I'm gonna get there 2021. So be clear. So we're out. The Truth Podcast. See you guys next Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
It's good.
Harmonix Technologies, your New Mexico business IT solution. With incredible products that will fit your needs both big and small, and unmatched service, it's your vision delivered. Learn how we can help your business roar into action today. Harmonix Technologies, your New Mexico business IT solution.